Hello everybody, my name is Ryan. Guy Ritchie's King Arthur movie is in theaters today. So let's talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Fair warning, there are spoilers in this review. If you have not seen the movie yet, and you did see the first one, go see it. That's the spoiler-free review. It's very good. Moving on, with spoilers, this movie is really good. I really enjoyed it. I think that it is one of my favorite Marvel movies. I don't know. It's probably not like it's not the best for sure. I still think the best two are Winter Soldier and Iron Man. But I think that this is definitely up there as one of the best ones. It's one of the better ones for sure. And here's the thing. Here's why I like it more than a lot of Marvel movies, or at least why it stands out in my mind. It's because it's a standout Marvel movie. This is not attached to anything. There's a mention of Thanos, but he's a character in the last movie. This is only really connected to the last movie, whereas the last movie was connected to, like, it had, the Collector who's from Thor the Dark World, and his Infinity Stones, which is building up Infinity War. Like, there's a lot of stuff in that connects it to other movies. This, though, feels like it's totally independent except for Guardians of the Galaxy. It feels like that's the only movie you have to know about to really get a connection here, as opposed to all the other Marvel movies now, which are essentially, like, there's 10 movies before them, and at least a few of them are important to get the story, to get, like, the whole story for what's going on here. So, when this one comes in, it's really new and really fresh, and it's also not, it's uniquely similar to the original Guardians movie, and that's probably the biggest thing I have to gripe with it. I think that this movie does a great job of doing a sequel kind of thing, where it will say, what did you like about the first one? We're not going to redo them, but actually it did kind of redo them, and that's the problem I have. But the good stuff was taking the stuff that we liked and doing them better, or like as good. So I think the soundtrack, I don't think it's better, I don't think it's worse. I think it's like as good. And who knows, I can't really compare them because I don't remember what my real opinion of that soundtrack was 3 years ago when it came out. It was good. I know I thought it was good, but I feel like all those songs now, whereas like I knew half of them when they came out, there are about half of them that I didn't know until the movie came out. So I feel like now where I still have the same kind of going thing where it's like half and half, all the songs from the original soundtrack I know and are ingrained in my mind, so I feel like I can't really compare the soundtracks until I know every song off this one the same way I do for the first one. Otherwise, it's just not fair, because I don't remember what I thought of the original one when I didn't know like half the songs. The comedy in this movie is, I think, undeniably more, at least, than the original Guardians movie. I like it a lot more. I think that this was the most I've ever laughed in, not ever, but the most I've laughed in a movie theater in a long time. I was just, like, I was like crying from tears, from laughing just that much. I think, like, I was kind of like hunched over at one point. Like, it's so great, some of these jokes. I fucking love it. I think that this is like the most outright comedy the MCU has ever gotten. And it's really good. I really enjoy it. I think that it's like got a lot of that humor. If you like the first one, you're going to like this one. And I think that, again, this movie does what the first one did, what like the elements that you liked from it, and it does it again. And that's really cool. And I really enjoy that because it makes it feel like the last one, but it also takes a different approach to like sort of the humor and stuff. And it's unique in that way. Like it's really different. The kind of tone it takes and the direction feels different. It's weird. It feels like they're doing the Marvel thing where they want to change up how they do like the font on screen every single movie. So it'll be like Missouri, and I saw it in a double feature like right after Guardians 1. So it was like Missouri, and I'm like, that's completely different font than they used in the first movie, and I don't know why the fuck they did it. It just feels weird. It only probably feels weird because I just saw different stuff like 30 minutes before it, but at the same time, I don't know, it's just a weird change that I noticed. However, I do think the sequelitis stuff kind of starts to gripe with this movie for a little bit. Because I think, especially in the first act, I'm seeing, and even in the second one, I'm seeing a lot of things that are like, this is the first movie again, kind of trying to do the sequel thing of just doing the same thing, but like hopefully better. And like the first major notion to it, there's two big major notions to it. It is, at first, the opening scene that's in the 80s. I'm like, this is a lot how they started the first one. And also the Baby Groot dancing scene at the beginning. And I'm like, this is kind of exactly how they started the first one with the opening title credit sequence. And I don't have a huge problem with it. It's just that that outwardly made it feel like a sequel and kind of a retread of the original. Or not a retread, but like kind of stealing from the original bit. And I was like at the beginning of the movie, and that kind of left that sour taste in my mouth going on for a little bit until it started to get outwardly just totally fucking awesome, and I couldn't, like, at all be, like, think of anything bad because I was having so much fucking fun. And that's one of the things Guardians does really good. You have a lot of fun in this theater. The soundtrack's great, the comedy's great, these characters are fantastic, and even when they're talking about some dark, depressing shit, like, you're having a fun time watching this movie because of all of the color palette and everything that's happening. Like, it's really good at just making you have fun, and that's why I think it works so good as a movie. You enjoy watching this movie, you have a fun time watching this movie, and ultimately you're going to come out of this movie happy, at the very least, because you got a cool new soundtrack to listen to on Spotify. It's fucking cool. Like, there you go. But again, I feel like there are a lot of elements like that they take from the original and work, that they just like the soundtrack and stuff, but there are a lot of plot elements that they take and don't work as well. And it's not even that they don't work as well, it's just that it's so familiar in the original Guardians movie, while, you know, kind of, it's not super original. Like, it is an adaptation, and it is like, just kind of like heroes who are criminals and they get paid to do stuff like that. It's something we've seen before, but it's really good, and it's really sci-fi, and all these characters are unique, and they're so crazy. It feels super original. And then this movie comes in, and we also start off this movie with an 80s flashback, and then a little bit of them going on a mission before there's the opening kind of dance credit sequence where someone's dancing to music that's going to be on the soundtrack and going to get you hooked on it. And then they steal something. Then there's a chase. The people chasing them ultimately become one of like the tertiary villains of the movie. Blah, 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 blah. A lot of stuff is the same in this movie, and a lot of it is in that like first 20 minutes. And I think it's like I'm looking at that and I'm like, it's annoying to look back at and to watch because you just kind of notice how retready it is and how unoriginal it feels, even though they do go about it in a unique way. They change things, the directing tone feels different, and I feel like James Gunn changing it up a little bit and just little things like the font is important for it to feel like a different movie and not just totally feel like they're doing the same thing again, because they do change up a lot, and it does really show out like how much they change up. But there are things like that, like while I mentioned the prison break they do, like things that just kind of feel like, again, they're doing the same thing. Yondu killing everyone with the arrow, and what I will say is that in scope of like the final action sequence, I don't look at this movie and be like, they did like the exact same thing as the first thing, but way bigger. It's like, it's not the Starkiller base thing where it's like it's the sequel, so just the same thing but bigger. It's like the same. It's not the same thing at all, which is what I really like. You know what I'm trying to say? It changes everything to focus much more on a personal conflict. So Kurt Russell isn't even totally the villain in the same way that Ronan is, and I fucking hate Ronan. Like, he's one of the worst villains the MCU's ever done. But what Ego does differently is it changes the formula. You kind of think like maybe the Sovereign are the main villain for a while, and then Ego comes in and he's like, look, world domination, isn't that great? And you're like, oh no. And it's like, look at all my dead kids, and it's like, oh no. And he's like, and I killed your mother, and it's like, shit. You know, there's a lot of it's like 5 minutes of let's flip everything on its head. Let's explain what happened in that first few minutes with the 80s flashback that we didn't totally get. Let's explain, you know, what Mantis is trying to tell us, and also let's explain what exactly killed Peter's mother. It's so much like you're watching one movie, and then even if you suspected Ego being the villain, all of a sudden there's 3 major revelations and it totally flips everything, and Star-Lord just shooting the fuck out of Ego is awesome. Like, oh, I don't care if you're my fucking dad, you killed my mother and she's way more important to me and I just fucking met you, so I'm gonna shoot the shit out of you. And it's awesome, and the effects look really good. Visual effects are great, color's great, cinematography's great. Everything that you look at in this movie is really good, so I feel like I should just put that out of the way right now. It's all really cool. Like, there's a lot of great shots in this movie that I can pick apart right now. I don't really want to, though. I'd rather just talk about how much fun it is and other things instead of just going like, this one's cool, this one's cool, this one's cool. So I think Kurt Russell is a little bland in the movie, but Ego as a villain and how they flip the kind of Marvel villain structure on its head a little bit is a lot different. First of all, there are some similarities, like he dies in the 3rd act, but at the same time, he isn't outwardly the villain for the whole movie. They change up how it is. He's not just evil Star-Lord. They kind of make Star-Lord into good Ego in a way, where it's like Star-Lord's one character, Ego's way different, and then they're like, also Star-Lord is the same. And it's like, you kind of fell into the structure a little bit there, but also they're so different characters that you kind of forgive it, especially because Star-Lord is only a god in this for like the good portion of this movie, but not in the last movie, so they still feel like different characters instead of really falling into that Marvel villain structure. And also they changed like the plot structure and everything, and how they really introduce us to this villain, and how we totally feel about him, and know about if he's a villain at the beginning, which we don't. So I feel like in that way he feels fresh, and he feels different, and also they connected to the first movie. They give us prime motivation to hate Ego, and that is why he works really good as a villain in this movie, and why I really enjoyed him. I think he's one of the best parts. The Easter eggs in this movie, they're awesome. I think that the best one is the Stan Lee cameo, which essentially confirms that, yes, Stan Lee is everywhere in this universe, and it's all seemingly the same character, and he's an informant for the Watchers, as the credits tell us, because that was a moment where I was sitting in my chair, and I just went, what the fuck? Like, I went to my friend, and I'm like, are we seriously just gonna, like, walk right past, like, one of the biggest fucking revelations that's probably ever been made in a Marvel movie, that Stan Lee is every single, like, the same character and everything, and also they have more rights to more Fantastic Four characters that maybe we're not talking about, but the point is, that Stan Lee's thing was like, it's so good and so bad. It's like, oh my god, everything that's happened here. And also, I gotta step out of this movie right now, because what the fuck is happening? With, like, what? It was awesome, and I fucking loved it. But also, it took me out of it for a moment where I was literally turning to my friend, and I'm like, we have to talk about this right now. What is this? And it's like, we'll talk about it later, but you know. What? It's awesome. This movie, in a very Avengers 2, like Age of Ultron kind of way, takes the supporting characters from the last movie and elevates them onto roles where you kind of care about them more. Whereas Avengers 2 one is like, let's give like Black Widow and Hulk a relationship and give Hawkeye a family. This one's like, let's give everyone backstory. Nebula's going to get a bit of backstory. You're going to explain the Gamora and Nebula relationship a little bit, which is great. Make Drax funnier. Like, just make Yondu way cooler of a character than he was originally. Like, they just do a great job of like having like all the secondary characters become really good. I would fucking love a Nebula solo movie, and I've heard a lot of people being like, she's overacting in this, and I'm like, I don't care. The character's fucking awesome because Karen Gillan's like going way above what she needs to be. She needs to be at like 8, and she's taking it to 11, and I'm like, I don't care. It makes the character cooler. It makes her just like that much more. It sells the character by going above and beyond of just how crazy killer this character is. Coming out of this movie, I'd honestly say I would really, really want a Nebula solo movie, because that character just, like, loved her so much in this movie. She was such a cool assassin, she was such cool, like, she kind of stood on her own and took charge in a lot of sense, and I really enjoyed that, and I think that it's the kind of character I'd want a solo movie featured around, especially if Marvel is going to do a villains movie, give Nebula a movie. That would be super fun, and I would really enjoy it, and Karen Gillan could totally do it. She would probably have to bring down the overacting a little bit if she's going to be the star focus of a movie for 124 probably minutes, but the point is that I think she could do it, and just the fact that this movie makes me want a Nebula solo movie, someone who I really couldn't care that much about in the first movie, yeah, that's cool, right? That's a good character development, and all the characters are really good developed in this movie, and that's fantastic. Baby Groot is a standout just because, like, he's so adorable, he's so funny, he's the heart and like comedy of so many central scenes that it works really great. What do you think about this movie though? Ultimately, I feel like I have to give it like an 8 or a 9. There are some big errors in it, but I love so much about it. I can talk for days about how much I loved it, and probably like an hour about what I didn't like in it. And I think that just says how fun this movie is to watch, how much I solidly enjoyed it. I don't know if it's better than the first one. Rewatching the first one, I'm like, this is a little worse than I kind of remembered. It's not as fun, and like there's some lines of dialogue that don't totally land. So maybe I will dislike this a little more as I go and rewatch it, but still, it's a good time right now. So what do you think? Comment all your thoughts down below. Which one do you like more? Give this video a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more reviews. Alien's coming up next, so I will probably do an Alien Covenant review, and also probably some Alien reviews of past Alien movies if I want to. So subscribe for that, and I'll see you all next time.